In this video tutorial, we're going to be creating sublimation iron-on patches. I ordered a package of these sublimation ready iron-on patches, and you can see that there's some rectangle, some circle, a couple different colors, and then on the right there you can see that that is the back side, and there is a protective coating over the adhesive. All right, now it's time to start adding our images. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Layout here in Word, and my layout options, I am going to do 8.5 by 11. Orientation, I'm going to do landscape because you'll be able to see it better. And then I'm going to set my margins to 0. You can set them to whatever you want. I prefer to use 0 when I'm designing. So now I had downloaded a bunch of images that I thought would be cute on these. So I have got the rectangle patch coming in at about 3.75 by 2.25 inches. The round one is a radius of about 2.75. And the other odd-shaped one at rectangle, it's roughly 2.2 to the top in the center and 3.75 in length. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some images here, some shapes, so that we can know the size that we're going to be using. So I'm going to put a rectangle in here. I'll draw this. And then I'm going to go over here to my sizes, and I'm going to make that 2.25 in height, 2.25 in height, and then down here I'm going to make it 3.75. Yeah, so now this is the shape that I'm going to fit my image into. Now, while this is highlighted, we're going to do the wrap and through feature, because otherwise it's not going to let us move it where we want to on the page. So now that this is free to roam around, we're going to insert our first image that we're going to be putting on that rectangle patch. And so I downloaded a bunch of images last night, and I'm thinking which one I'd like to put on that rectangle patch. No, not that one. This one would be nice on there. So I'm going to put this one, bring this image in. Now you're going to do the wrap and through feature again. And that's going to bring this up now where you can grab these corners here and you can make it the size that you want. But the main thing is that we want this to fit in this box nicely. So I'm actually going to stretch it out, and then I'm going to move this up. So I want to make sure that that's going to fit on our patch. So I think that's pretty good where I have it there. So now I'll move this maybe a little bit wider here. Get it a little bit more. All right, so now I'll move this one. Now we'll bring in our next image, and that odd shape patch is very similar in size to this. So I'm just going to use this block as my template. And my next image that I will bring in, these images are from Creative Fabrica. I have the all access, and so I downloaded a bunch of them last night. So we'll bring this flag in, and then we'll do the wrap and the through feature again. Now we're able to move this and change it the way we want. And now I'm going to bring this up to my box here. I'm going to try that wrap through, bring my box over here. Oh, get this up. What's going on here? Stuck. There we go. Now it's going to move. All right, so we want to make sure that this is a little bit smaller here. I want to make sure that it's fitting on the patch really nicely. So I think that's pretty good. So I'll set that one off to the side. Now we have one more patch. I'm going to be doing 4 patches, and 3 of them will fit roughly into this box. So let's see. I really like this one, but this one is one of my favorites. So let's do this one here. And again, wrap. Whoops. Grab my image here. wrap, and through. And that way I can set that box with it so that we can get a good size. If we don't do that, it's not going to move around the box the way we want to here. Sorry about that. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And that looks pretty darn good there. And so for our last one, it's a circle. So again, we're going to go in and we're going to insert a shape and we're going to make it a circle. And then as you can see here by the size, we're going to change that to 2.75. 2.75, and then the bottom we'll change it to 2.75. And there we have our perfect circle for adding our next image. Now we're going to do the wrap and the through again. You can also do that right here. See how it says wrap and through. So we're going to go and grab our next image. So we're going to insert a picture here. And this is going to be round. I found a cool NASA one, but I don't know that I'm going to do that one right now, but I might find something. Maybe this one. This one's kind of cute. See if this one fits in there. So I'll do the wrap and through up here this time so you can see how that works. And then it pops that image right up there. Now I can shrink this down. And all I gotta do is fit this in this circle. So I can make this bigger. A little bit bigger yet. I'd probably do it from up here now, just to get it just the right size. Move it over a little and try that again. That's about right. I don't want it to get too close to the edges. So now I will go and I'll print these, but you don't want to print these images. So the ones that we've put in there to get our design, we're going to delete those. Delete, delete. So now I'll probably fill this page up with some other things just so that I'm not wasting paper. But now first thing I want to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to print. And I'm going to be using an Epson EcoTank 2760 that I have converted over to sublimation printing. You're going to go into your printer properties and you're going to want your paper type set to premium presentation paper matte. You're going to want your quality set to high. Then you're going to go into more options and you're going to go into image options and you're going to emphasize more and emphasize thin lines. Then you're going to hit OK. You're going to make sure high speed is off and you're going to make sure that you've got the mirror image is clicked, because if we don't mirror our image, our words will be backwards when we press them. So I'm going to hit OK and then I'm going to go print this. So for this project, I'm using HTV Ront sublimation paper 125, and then I'm going to be using heat-resistant tape too. Here is my full sublimation sheet for printing. I like to fill it because then I have some images on hand for coffee cups or whatever else that I'm going to be doing. This is my sublimation printer. It's printing real well. I just take my laptop, set it on top of it, and print it. This is an Epson EcoTank 2760 that I've converted over to a sublimation printer by putting sublimation ink into it. And I have had great success with this setup. So as my images are printing, it's time to fire up my heat press. So I set it at 385 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to be pressing the sublimation images for 30 seconds. Now I trim all my images down so that they fit nicely on the sublimation patch. Now these are going to be taped down with heat-resistant tape. We're going to put the image face down on the sublimation ready side, not on the adhesive side. Now I have put a pressing pillow on my press because these do have a ridge where the paper is between, and so I want to get a good connection with the press. So I have a pressing pillow down, then I've added protective paper, and then I am covering it with a Teflon sheet. And as you can see, the image is on top. I press these at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 seconds. I let them cool down for a few seconds so that I could peel off the tape, and they turned out very well. Again, this was 385 degrees for just 30 seconds for the sublimation process. So I let these patches cool completely, and then I remove the protective adhesive cover from the back. Before pressing on the patch, I pre-press the area so that it removes all of the moisture. Now I place the patch with the adhesive down in the location that I want it on my jacket here, and then I covered it with a Teflon sheet, and I pressed this at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. After I pressed this for 60 seconds, I kind of picked at it and I thought, oh, it didn't stick. But then I noticed that if I let it cool completely, then you can feel that it did adhere. So after you press this, do not pick at it because you want it to cool. And as it cools, it adheres. Anyway, that was my experience. So the next patch is going on this little zippered canvas bag. So again, I pre-press it to get out the moisture. And then again, we pick off that backing that is covering the adhesive and lay it down on the bag, and then I press this for 385 degrees for 60 seconds. So it's the same process. I did leave my zipper hanging over the edge so that I could get a good firm press on this. Again, I let it cool completely, and when it was cool, it was adhering very well. Now the third patch, I am putting on a hat. Now I do have a hat press, but I didn't want to set it up, so I opted for a handheld heat source for this one, so I'm using my mini. So I turned that on high to get it heated up, and I also stuffed the hat with a towel for support. I removed the backing from the adhesive, and then I taped it onto the hat with heat-resistant tape in the area that I want it to stick to, and then I pressed it in sections. I worked my way around a little bit to make sure that every section had about 60 seconds of press time on it, and I pressed with heavy pressure. It took a little time to go over this. I went over it a few times, after the 60 seconds on each section. I went back over and just kind of got it all warm again. And then I pressed it down with my fingers because it did take a little while for this to adhere, being that it was on the curved surface. But again, I let it cool completely and it has good adhesion. And the last thing that I'm going to be pressing on is this kind of a backpack that I got, and it is not cotton, it is not canvas. I would say that it's some kind of a polyester blend that I think would burn if you leave it get too hot. So I did place my image down, and then I ran my mini press over this. I did not use protective paper, and it did not ruin my image. I didn't do that on the hat either. It was fine. I wanted to see where I was pressing, and it pressed really well. I did the same, about the same amount of time on this, but not as heavy pressure because I was worried that I was going to burn it. So this is about the same type of process that I used for the hat. But again, this had a lot of creases, but it adhered very well. I let it cool completely, and I was surprised by how well it did adhere to this bag.
Well, these turned out very well. What I would say for sure is before you start messing with them, make sure that they cool down because the adhesive sticks better after it's cooled. But yeah, I would say that this is a win.
Thank you for watching my video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And links for items that I've used are in the description below. Have a great day.